You cannot afford to be this ignorant today. It is 2025. For you to still be running around saying that Christianity is a white man's religion is absolutely nonsensical. Because by now, you should understand that you can look up things on the internet. You can look up things on AI. You can still read books. You can go to the library. You can order books off of Amazon. There is no excuse for you being this uninformed, misinformed, and just completely uneducated on this topic in 2025. So let me give you some help to help you out. All right. The gospel on the day that the church was birthed out in Acts chapter 2, there were people there from 3 different nations in in Africa. Acts chapter 2 tells us that on the day the church was birthed out, there were people there from Libya, there were people there from Cyrene, and people there from Egypt. To continue on, the gospel was in northern Africa well before it got into Europe. Acts chapter 13 tells us that 2 people of the 3 that laid hands on Paul to take the gospel to Europe on his second missionary journey were Africans, were black people. We have Lucius of Cyrene, which is in Africa, and Simeon, which is called the Niger, a word that literally means the black man. The world's first seminary was started by Mark, the gospel writer, in Alexandria, Egypt. Out of that school produced many of the North African church fathers that many of you should have heard by now of today. People that came out of North Africa that were essential and central in the progression and the spread of Christianity and theology and hermeneutics and apologetics. Many of these people you should be knowing by now. I'm talking about people like Tertullian. I'm talking about people like Cyprian, people like Augustine. We talked about yesterday, I hosted a whole live from an African scholar talking about Georgius. Well, you haven't heard the stories of Perpetua and Felicitas? I mean, I could go on and on. You haven't heard about King Ezana, who was the first Christian nation in Africa, and this was 1,300 years before the slave trade. You didn't know that the Stono Rebellion that was started in America was started by Catholic Christians from the Congo in West Africa prior to colonization? My man, you got to do better, man. There's no excuse for this. People are always talking about the Constantine and the Council of Nicaea. Did you know that many of these theological issues that were discussed at the Council of Nicaea had already been discussed and had already been dealt with in North Africa in places like Carthage? Did you know that the very way they conducted the Council of Nicaea, they learned how to conduct the Council of Nicaea because there were African synods in Carthage that were already dealing with theological issues in Africa well before the Council of Nicaea? Did you know that it was Africa that was the place where rhetoric and preaching and homiletics, all of that, those styles were honed in Africa? Biblical interpretation, translation, hermeneutics, all of these things began on the North African continent, not Europe. So my man, I'm going to suggest that you would go pick up How Africa Shaped the Christian Mind by Thomas Oden. Go read The Whitewashing of Christianity by Jerome Gay. Go read Urban Apologetics, Volume 1 and Volume 2 by Dr. Eric Mason. Bro, I could give you book after book. I could give you all kinds of stuff. You need to go educate yourself, okay? Because this right here is absolutely inexcusable. Now, I could go and show you all the sources, show you the quotes and everything, but I've done that in all of my previous videos. If you're on TikTok, go to my Urban Apologetics playlist, and I got video after video on there demonstrating about the black presence in the Bible. I got PowerPoints on my website right now on Is Christianity the White Man's Religion? I got PowerPoints on the whitewashing of Christianity. I got a PowerPoint on the black presence in the Bible, going through the Bible and talking about all of the people in the Bible that were unquestionably people of color. I've dealt with this time and time again. So there's just absolutely no excuse for this. Do better.